Hello my friends, welcome back. Happy Thursday to you. You're going to have a great day today. Or if you're watching this from Europe, you're going to have a great evening today. With this being said, here is a sneak peek what we're going to analyze in this video. In the past 24 hours, there is a record amount of Russian losses, 1,300 plus to be exact. In addition to that, we'll look into how Germany is remilitarizing and their aid to Ukraine is promised to be doubled next year from 4 billion to 8 billion in 2024. Germany is stepping up. And finally, Ukrainian official leaked the plan across Dnipro. Many people have been wondering what's the Ukrainian plan crossing the Dnipro. Well, now we have an idea. They plan to offense. Of course, we'll start with the biggest, which is the Russian losses of the past 24 hours. 1,330 K.I.As knocked out cold Russian personnel 16th of November 2023. Russians are resuming offensive operations across the front to Avdiivka, then they're trying to dislodge the Ukrainian bridgehead across Dnipro. They also sent armored to Klishivka, which was demolished entirely. This is where these numbers come from. They also lost 11 tanks, 17 armored personnel vehicles, 36 artillery systems, 8 MLRS, 40 vehicles and fuel tanks. Wow. Insanely high losses, and I have done this prediction about 3 to 4 months ago that Russia will have to declare another limited mobilization or increase their hidden mobilization next year 2024. It will also be the year of Putin's elections, and he takes this stuff pretty seriously because recently I've been seeing Putin taking pictures with children in hospital. You know, the regular stuff that every president does before the election. He's trying to gather support or actually play the game of democracy and show like he's doing the electoral campaign. Connected to this, he doesn't really want to declare any kind of mobilization, hidden or public or full or limited, because this decreases his popularity in Russia a big time. Now my friends, this is the war map of Ukraine, but you can see I'm going north. Estonia, not even Estonia, we're going straight to Finland. We're going to the Finnish border because Finnish government decided to close the southeastern border points with Russia a few days ago, and you can see them right here, where is St. Petersburg and a little bit to the north. These border points have been closed. You know why? Because Russia has been starting to send immigrants that have gone to Russia from African continent to the Finnish border, much like we saw Belarus doing to Lithuania last year. Finland, as we know, is a very strong reactor to this stuff, immediately closed the border points, and the newest information that came out today is that Finland plans to close all of the border, the entire border with Russia if this continues. We're waiting the decision today, actually, 16th of November. If that happens, that is a significant increase in tensions between Finland and Russia. And the Russians do remember the Winter War. I mean, there are 250,000 K.I.A. Russians buried somewhere on this border across these areas from the Winter War and the Continuation War. Putin knows this part of his history. He knows that Finnish people do pack a punch. Simo Häyhä will be resurrected from the grave if necessary. The funniest part of this Finnish border shenanigans is that Finnish government banned Russians crossing the border with bicycles. The first order was, no, you cannot come to Finland anymore on bicycles. Use your feet. And then they closed the border points. Weird, right? Well, no, because most of the immigrants from Africa funneled to the Finnish border by Russia as an immigration weapon. They were using bicycles to cross the border. That's why this order is such a weird order. There is actually history between Russia and Finland and the border pressure. In 2015, Russia did the same thing. They funneled immigrants to the Finnish border to see how Finland would react. Kinda like an immigration weapon, but on a smaller scale. Finland reacted strongly, deployed the border guards more heavily to the border and monitored the entire border. Russia got the idea that Finland is ready and taking their security very seriously. Now this increase now, 8 years later, could be a test. So Finland is now in NATO. Russia has 1,000 kilometers additional border with NATO. They are now testing out the waters. That's the Russian mindset. They test. Where they can, they will take. They test what is the Finnish reaction, how strong will it be, how fast will it be, and how efficient will it be. Number 1, you cannot cross with bicycles. Number 2, southeastern border points closed. Number 3, today we will find out if the entire border will be closed with Russia. So the reaction is swift, efficient and strong. Way to go, Finnish, my northern brothers. Kiitos. Now my friends will go back to Ukraine and we'll go to Avdiivka. Some of the comments have been saying, why doesn't anybody report on Avdiivka? It's the most active part of offensive operations by Russia right now. Everybody's talking about Dnipro. Yes, you are right. Krasnohorivka is the place where Russians like to send their meat assaults to be minced up. Still, every day it happens. But not many people talk about the military importance of Avdiivka. Why are Russians so obsessed on it like they was with Bakhmut? Well, we have here a Twitter user named Tatarigami, wonderful threads, great analysis. They have an entire OSINT team, so you can see them on the screen. If you like more of this information, you can go and follow them. I'll read you his analysis, why Avdiivka is militarily important. It is very important. While I agree that the assaults on Avdiivka likely has political reasons, as I discussed on the day the assault started, focusing solely on political aspects is not only inaccurate but also dangerous. The article states most experts agree that it has exclusively political, not military significance for the Kremlin. I strongly disagree with it. Avdiivka has played a key military role in Donetsk since 2014. If Russians were to take Avdiivka, this is their potential line of actions or way of actions ahead from that, and it shows that they could also take New York. Yes, in Ukraine there are 2 settlements called New York. We wouldn't want New York to be occupied, would we? On this map, I've marked potential routes and opportunities that could arise for the Russian forces in the event of Avdiivka falling. While it's not an exact representation, it provides a general idea of the range of opportunities that may open up for the Russian forces to advance. Avdiivka plays a key role in both defensive and offensive operations. Avdiivka denies Russian forces operational space and protects the flanks of logistical hubs. While it's accurate that Avdiivka may not be used as a foothold for assault Donetsk in the near future, if an opportunity arises, Avdiivka will play a key role in successfully entering Donetsk. This essentially revisits the 2014 scenario with the potential for different outcomes. And I remember being a lot younger back then, 9 years younger actually. My mind was in completely different places, but I still followed the news about the Donetsk airport where Ukrainians made their last stand, and that is only 5 kilometers from Avdiivka. I agree with the analysts in the article emphasizing that Ukraine doesn't need a second Bakhmut, especially in its late stage, holding territory for political rather than operational necessity when encirclement becomes imminent, can lead to avoidable losses. I do agree, Bakhmut's last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Ukraine was accumulating a big amount of losses because there was a political order to stay in Bakhmut. They could have made the order to pull back because it would have made more sense strategically, but they decided to stay and hold on to it because, Western aid is dependent on Ukrainian ability to hold ground. Unfortunately, that translated to some unnecessary Ukrainian losses, and I've heard it firsthand from soldiers that were in Bakhmut. I talked to them in Kiev. They are angry at the leadership of the Ukrainian armed forces for the order, because it was a political order to hold Bakhmut until the very last moment. Avdiivka's military significance should not be dismissed since it serves as a barrier preventing Russian forces from entering the operational space towards Pokrovsk, Kurakove and Konstantinivka, crucial nodes in Donetsk Oblast. The Russians underestimated Ukrainian forces in this attack, necessitating resource diversion from elsewhere for limited advances. Although immediate exploitation is doubtful, they can continue to expand by reallocating forces from other areas, replaced by newly formed units. Meaning Russians do have a steady flow of reserves into the northern area of Avdiivka to Krasnohorivka. As I mentioned, about 2 videos ago, they transferred 2 whole new brigades into the area, which is a huge issue for the Ukrainians. I mean, they're running out of ammo before Russians run out of men. Thank you, Tatarigami, for such great analysis. I do agree with everything I just read. Now, my friends, we'll go to the Dnipro, the area where Ukraine is being more and more active, pushing their bridgehead further and further. And what is the goal here? Well, I'm glad you asked, because Ukrainian spokesperson for the Southern Front of Armed Forces of Ukraine actually said that their goal is to establish a corridor across Dnipro 3 to 8 kilometers wide. And this is 13, this is, boom, 8 kilometers right here. I'll zoom out for it also so you see. This entire area, the length of this line right here, 8 kilometers, that's the goal of Ukrainian armed forces across Dnipro before they would start building pontoon bridges and transferring massive amount of armor across the river. Right now you can do it one by one with these small pontoon bridges converted into armor carriers or landing crafts. But to do it in any big scale, for example, transferring an entire armored brigade over, you need a proper pontoon bridge that doesn't... And for that, you need to push the Russians back so they couldn't damage it with artillery or drones, or if they could, then it's not that effective. And for that reasons, Ukrainians are using right now mostly infantry and artillery and kamikaze drones. Although I do have to say the advances of the Ukrainians here are very slow. Very, very slow. We're talking 50, 100 meters a day. Nothing fast is expected here. My friends, look at this map. We have Russian-occupied Crimea right here. And why I show you this? Well, today there was a drone attack, Ukrainian drone attack to a Russian factory here, right here. We'll zoom into the location later. Why is it important? Well, because it's so far away from Ukrainian front lines, meaning the drone would have had to fly over the Azov Sea or over the Black Sea, or straight over Crimea. This already would have been a feat in itself, because it would have passed several Russian anti-air defense systems undetected. That is the city exactly, Labinsk. It was a factory that produces Russian kamikaze drones, and it burst into flames. There are videos about it, of this factory being burned to the ground today by a Ukrainian drone attack. When it gets interesting is the Russian Minister of Defense actually admitted, yeah, this factory is now demolished, destroyed, knocked out cold, as we like to say. But they say it was a sabotage attack. Earlier in this war, this region has only had Ukrainian drone attacks. There are no known sabotage attacks in this region. Why would Russian Ministry of Defense claim it as a sabotage attack? Well, since photos and videos of the burning down of these factories are already online everywhere, so they cannot say that nothing happened. Something obviously happened. Now the Russian Ministry of Defense had 2 choices: sabotage or drone attack. 2 possibilities. If they say and admit to the truth that it was a Ukrainian drone that flew all over Crimea or all over the Azov Sea, to a few hundred kilometers into the Russian territory to attack a drone factory in Labinsk, that would discredit their anti-air defense systems and anti-air deterrence capabilities big time. They don't want to lose that face. So they choose the version that is bad for them, but it's less bad, which is a sabotage, because that doesn't decrease the reputation of their anti-air defense forces. Sabotage is something you cannot really pinpoint, you don't really know who did it. It could have been anarchists, whatever. No, it was a Ukrainian drone. It's interesting to analyze this to see how Russian Ministry of Defense chooses to portray these losses, choosing a version that is less damaging. My friends, now I bring you analysis about Wikileaks and Russia, done by a wonderful Twitter user, Tendar. I use his information a lot because it's great, shortly written, summarizes, and I do agree with him on most topics. I'll read it to you. It has been 36 hours since the leak and scandal broke out regarding the Cyprus Confidential. Cyprus was already known for being Russia's money laundering machine, especially when considering how Russian oligarchs use that country as conduit to funnel money to the West and buy, for example, English Premier League clubs such as Roman Abramovich's Chelsea club. It is no shocker that pro-Russian mouthpieces like Hubert Seipel are also part of that scheme, using this criminal enterprise to enrich themselves. What is surprising or not, and here it gets interesting, depending on how closely you have been following the history of leaks, is the reaction of Wikileaks, or better, the lack of it. Wikileaks, which claims to make the world transparent, always goes AWOL when it comes to leaks damaging Russia, Putin and others of his circle. In most cases, they go silent, as observed during the Balkan files or now the Cyprus Confidential. But sometimes Wikileaks goes further. If the leak becomes very damaging for Putin's Russia, then Wikileaks even comes directly to help Putin, attacking the messenger and trying to ridicule or deflect, a tactic all pro-Russian elements are using when getting cornered with facts. This happened during the Panama leaks or Panama Papers. It is therefore very important to always observe Wikileaks whenever a leak damaging Russia appears. Wikileaks' behavior reflects a clear pattern which only leads to the conclusion what many have already suspected. Wikileaks and Julian Assange, who now is in Russia, are directly involved in Russia's schemes, acting how only agents of Russia would act. They are no journalists, they are agents. The fact that Hubert Seipel interviewed Ed Snowden only emphasizes that we are dealing with a network in which Putin is the centerpiece. It is all interconnected, where all sinister roads sooner or later lead to Moscow. A great analysis by Wikileaks observing the patterns of leaks. Leaking one or another document, there is a huge difference. You can choose which ones to leak according to which agenda you want to push. And now, my friends, Germany is remilitarizing. Of course we know this, but now new information. Scholz, the head of German state, has stated, actually has promised, that in 2024 Germany will pump up its military aid 100%. So right now, German military aid 2023 has been 4 billion. They plan it to pump it up to 8 billion in 2024, really picking up their weight. I mean, Germany has a huge potential as a regional powerhouse. They are a regional powerhouse. But this war sets things in a different light. Poland is now remilitarizing and becoming the powerhouse of Eastern Europe. Germany is following suit. These decisions are important and they should have been done earlier, but much like the German people and state, they do react late, but when they do it properly and strongly. So I like what I'm seeing. Also, a new Germany's aid packet was released, and I'll read you what Germany is sending to Ukraine. All of this is not announced before today. 10 Leopard 1A5s, 14 tracked all-terrain vehicles, Bandwagen, and we do have them actually. I served in the Estonian infantry battalion of Kuperjanov. We had about 50 of them stationed all over the place, so I've seen them. Interesting fact about that, it takes 1 liter of fuel per 1 kilometer. It's a huge fuel goggler. 13 MAN trucks, 1 mine-clearing tank. Well, I would love to see 100 of these sent to Ukraine. That's a start. 10 reconnaissance drones, 12 ground surveillance radars, 3 border protection vehicles, 1.4 million rounds of ammunition, 1,155mm rounds of ammunition, and 10,000 safety glasses. Thank you, Germany, for the 10,000 safety glasses. Of course, I am actually very thankful for Germany because they are picking up the pace. They are now almost on the second place of most aid given or planned to be given to Ukraine, behind the United States. Thank you, Germany, for understanding the struggle of the Ukrainian nation, and Estonia is very much connected to Ukrainian fate. So thank you, Germany, for understanding also Estonia's struggle. Carry on, respect. And now, my friends, the best part of the video. And before I go to the patrons, I want to say that I'm answering every Patreon message now in Patreon. So you want to send me a message and you want an answer, go to the Patreon, become a patron, and I'll answer to you. I'll take in specific times for every day to do this now. And now, tier 10 and above, new supporters of this channel, my heroes. I'll read you the names. Gunnar Heiberg, Patrike, Edwin Kent, Rus G, Robert Svensson. I've said Robert Svensson's name before. Some people become patron for the second time. This warms my heart. Thank you, my friends. If you want to keep up what I do or see my gym stories, which I post a lot because I like to share when I work out, go and check out my Instagram. Link is in the description below. I do work out with my editor Oliver a lot, so you can see who edits these videos also in my Instagram. I'll see you there. And until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.